I group procedures and skills because they're very similar, although they have, I think, a little bit of different stuff. But a few of the things to think about with these is when you're learning something new, it's pretty effortful. And so we have a tendency to use a lot of brain capacity when you're learning something new. So right now you're learning some new things. And so you're hopefully concentrating and you're using a lot of glucose and lactate in your brains to process the information you're learning. When we're using something that's a familiar pattern, that's much easier in terms of it's automatic. I don't have to spend nearly as much effort to process or use it or to do things. And so when we're thinking about procedures and skills, we have a tendency for learning experiences to be structured like this, where we start with an intro and then we give you new information, then we give you more new information, then they give you even more new information, and then yet again with the new information until finally you're pretty much exhausted and you're overwhelmed. And the truth is, you're probably not going to hold all of it in your brain. Whereas when we're looking at practice and skills development, a model that goes a little bit more like this. So if any of you have ever played video games, you know that video games will start and you have to learn how to use it, but then they let you practice that a little bit and get comfortable with it. And then they might throw in a new monster type or a new challenge, or they might make it harder and then ramp it up again. But then you usually get some opportunities and get comfortable with it. And then they ramp it up again, and then you can get comfortable with it and things like that. And so when we're thinking about practice opportunities, we want to ask the question of, is there ways that I can practice, let people get comfortable, then maybe add in some additional complexity, let them get comfortable with that, and then add in additional complexity and let them get comfortable with that. Because then by the time they get to the end of this model, a lot of these things become fairly automatic and they can do it without having to think very hard about them. So we really think about practice intervals and practice design when we're dealing with procedures and when we're dealing with skills. And we want to always ask the question of, how do they know they're doing it right? So how do they stay on the path and not veer off the path because they're not getting enough feedback, that